Welcome you all to this webinar, and today's webinar is on how to score a 320 plus in just 90 days. So when you just have less than 100 days for your GRE, you should be feeling very scary and much more determined. Now without much ado, we are jumping into the session how to score a 320 plus in 90 days. Next slide please. So here we have Rohit Podori. He has scored a 326 out of 340. Okay. But the beauty of his profile is like he's a working professional. He's been working with critical solutions in New Delhi. When he came to us, he had a lot of trouble. That is, he was a working professional. He had taken the GRE already. He had a 320 score, but still he wanted to improve his score much better. So he came to us. He took a classroom coaching, but he wasn't satisfied. So he came to us for score boosting, and he had a very less time in his hands to prepare. So he came to us for mainly for the study plan, and he beautifully adhered to the study plan, and he reached his target score very accurately. And now he's in the Columbia University. Next slide please. Okay, so Columbia University is one of the Ivy League colleges, and it is one of the prestigious universities which anyone would want to get into. Okay, now how did Rohit succeed very well in his GRE is what we are going to discuss. For that, you have to first understand the basics of GRE. So when you understand the basics of the GRE, when you understand the nitty-gritties of how to score well, how the test behaves, you will be able to score well in the GRE. Okay, so the basics of the GRE is the GRE exam itself is an online exam. So a lot of students do a mistake by going to classroom education compared to online preparation, because a classroom education cannot simulate the actual test atmosphere. Do you agree? Because in a classroom session, you will have a teacher who handholds you, who helps you with your preparation from first to last, and the test actually is not like that. The test is very adaptive. It is very dynamic in nature, and you have to get used to it. So even if you're going for a classroom education, I would strongly recommend you to first take a mock test, at least which is online, so that you get used to the nature of the GRE exam. Okay, it is highly essential to get used to the online mode of the exam. All right, so next thing comes is the section wise adaptivity. Can someone tell me what is section wise adaptivity? The GRE exam is section wise adaptive. Can someone tell me what it could be? The difficulty increases as per performance. Yes, Atul is 100% right. So if you perform very well in one sections in the GRE verbal section, then in the section 2 you will have difficult questions. Okay, so if your test was difficult, then probably that you have done the best part, your best in your actual section. Okay, in your first section, and that is why your test has turned out to be very difficult. Okay, so the exam is very difficult. If you end up with a easier test, then it is you can understand that you haven't done the previous section well at all. Okay, and the GRE exam is conducted throughout the year. It is highly essential to use this as an advantage for you, because this exam happens throughout the year, so you can book a date when you can. And it is very essential that you book a date when you are exactly prepared for the exam. The GRE exam is expensive, so you can't take a chance by giving it a try and then just taking the exam whenever you want. You have to take the GRE exam if and only if you are very well prepared for the GRE. Next point. Yes, so the GRE happens in the certified test taking centers, and a lot of students throughout India and other countries they take the GRE, and it is highly essential to book your test center before the test dates get out of when the test dates are filled. Okay, so next point. Okay, the GRE score is valid for 5 years. So if you are in your college, I would strongly recommend you to take the GRE exam in your third year or even earlier, because at least most of our students who join us actually take the GRE while they are in the third year. This is very intelligent. This is a very intelligent option, because when you take the GRE and the scores are valid for 5 years, you will know that you've scored a 320 in the GRE. So you will have 1 or 2 years left in hands after you take the GRE exam. So when you do that, you will be able to have enough time to build your profile after your GRE score. Okay, so when you do your internship, or when you add your profile, add some internships or paper presentations, or if you can attend some conferences and all, if you can do any of these things after your GRE score, you will have a very strong profile, and after coming out of college, you will have a very strong profile which you can use to apply to universities. So try to take the GRE exam as early as possible. And those who are working, you can take it anytime. And as I told you earlier, you have to be very well prepared. And the GRE exams cost is $195, and it is close to 12,500 Indian rupees. So as I told you, you cannot take a chance, because every time you take the GRE exam, you're going to be spending 12,500 rupees. And so it is highly essential that you prepare well and take the GRE exam. And you may change the date. You are free to change the date for the GRE exam, but that costs additional $50 to you. So everything comes with a cost. So try to plan your preparation well, and stop so that you can avoid changing days and creating issues. And if there are anyone who would want to there is anyone who would want to do your MBA or a business related study in your in a foreign country, then I would recommend GRE over GMAT, because the GRE comes up with a lot of opportunities like scholarship, additional scholarships and all, and the price of GRE exam is lesser compared to GMAT, and it comes with a lot of opportunities. So taking the GRE exam for a business related course is an intelligent option. So and you might wonder if universities accept a GRE score for masters or in business administration. They do. There are a lot of universities that accept your GRE score for your higher education in business administration. Okay, so next slide. Are you all clear with the test pattern? Are you all clear with the test pattern? I would like to understand that, because I would like to know whether you've understood that it is highly essential to put in a lot of time for your GRE. Okay, 90 days is actually not the right amount of time. So you have to be preparing for at least 3 months or 6 months as per your need. And going forward, we should discuss about the sections in the GRE. The first and the troublesome section in the GRE is the verbal reasoning section. The GRE is designed in such a way that it tests certain skills in a student. Okay, so basically the universities would want to understand how capable are you to study their program in the university. Okay, because there are a lot of applications going to a university every year. So they want to test, and they want to allow this admission to a student who is very capable of going through their program successfully. Okay, how do they test all those skills in you is using this GRE exam. So the first verbal reasoning section, in this section there are different types of questions. One is a sentence equivalence question, the other is a text completion question, and then comes the reading comprehension question. So throughout these sections, through the entire section, you are required to have a very brilliant and exclusive verbal vocabulary built for you. So only then you will be able to understand the passages, or you will be able to understand the question. So by answering these, by testing using this verbal reasoning section, the university understands your capability to understand their lesson, because their curriculum is going to be delivered in English, and truly the accent is going to be different, and which is going to be very difficult for you to cope up with it. So they want to test whether you are able to read and comprehend a passage, or are you able to read and comprehend an essay, because most of the submissions after you enter the university is going to be on passages. You are required to write essays, and you're required to submit essays after you join the course. So are you capable of doing it is what they would want to test. And next comes the quantitative reasoning section. In the quantitative reasoning section, you all might think that it is just the 10th standard mathematics. I can very well handle it. I'm already an engineering student. I'm already a mathematical, I have a very strong mathematical base. I'll be able to easily get over this, is what you might think. Okay, I agree that quantitative reasoning is much easier compared to the verbal reasoning section. But there are two hidden challenges in the quantitative reasoning section. Number one, it is not just math, it is much more than that. Number one, it is also logical reasoning, it is also critical reasoning. Okay, so if they want to just test your mathematical skills, they can just have an aptitude test, just like you have for your placements. They can just test it, but they have this section in the GRE because they want to test your logical and critical reasoning capability. Number two, as I told you, there are very difficult levels in the questions in the quantitative reasoning section. So you are required to have a hands-on on all these questions, and you have a time limit. Sorry, and you have a time limit. So you are expected to solve those questions in given time. So you should be very well practiced, and you should be prepared to solve the sections in the given time. So time management is also critical. Next comes the analytical writing assessment. So this is the essay writing section, and this essay writing section is very challenging because you're expected to write 2 essays in just 1 hour. And the problem here is that the score ranges from 0 to 6 points. If you get a 310 in your GRE, and if you get only a 2.5 in your AWA, it is a mismatch, and the university will be confused whether you are a capable student or not. And if you get a 320 plus in your AWA, and if you score only 3 points in 320 in your GRE, and if you just score 3 points in your AWA, then again there is a mismatch. So there should be a match between your AWA scores and your GRE scores, so that both scores have to balance each other. Otherwise, a mismatch is actually not accepted by the universities. They would not know whether you are an apt candidate or not. Okay, so and the problem here is you will practice well for your AWA, but in real life you wouldn't find a person or an expert who can run through your essays and tell you whether you've written it well or not. Without proper feedback, you wouldn't be able to implement such feedbacks and improve your essays. You wouldn't have an idea whether you're doing it right or not. That is one practical challenge every person who takes a GRE faces. But at Galvanize Test Prep, what the least that we do is we help you to understand your essay. We read your essay and we give you some feedback so that you will have a direction so that you can improve in your AWA section. And apart from these sections, there is also an experimental section. The name could be very scary. It says experimental section, but it is just none other than your verbal reasoning question or your quant section. Okay, it could be one of your quant or verbal section. I've been receiving questions from Nagalakshmi. Nagalakshmi, I will be taking the question answers at the end of the session. Please, I've been noting down all your questions, so please don't worry. I'll be answering them. So this the challenge of an experimental section is that you wouldn't know which of the two sections, which of the entire GRE paper is your experimental section. So you won't be able to guess. So, and the experimental section is not validated. So you wouldn't know which one is not validated. You would, but you have to take all the sections with equal importance. If you try to guess that one of the verbal sections is experimental section, and if you try to take it lightly because you think it is not going to be evaluated anyway, so in this case you might lose a lot of points here. Okay, so why I would emphasize on all these sections, because it is highly important to take such intensity practice tests. Like before you take the GRE, you should have actual GRE, you should have practiced at least 2 or 3 or maximum 5. Like we offer 5 mock tests. You have to take these high intensity practice tests before you take the GRE exam, because you have to get used to all these things, used to answering every section with equal importance. You should be getting used to the time of each section, and so on and so forth. So it is highly important to practice, not only practice the concepts, it is also highly important to practice the nature of the test. Okay, moving forward, coming next is the GRE score. I would like to quickly run through this because most of you already know it. The minimum score is 260 and the maximum score is 340, and the middle score is 300 obviously, and the, like most of you say, a 320 is known to be a good score in the GRE. So universities actually pay a lot of importance to the 320 plus scores in the GRE. And then comes the AWA section score. The AWA section score is ranges from 0 to 6. The minimum score is 0 and maximum score is 6. And a good AWA score, that is for a 320 score, you should have gotten at least 4 points in your AWA. Anything above it is actually considered to be very good. Okay, so this is the scoring pattern. So your score has to be around this so that your profile gets selected. So there are some challenges in each of these sections. So before we move on to this section, I would like to hear from you all. Okay, guys, those who have already taken the GRE, or guys who have initiated your GRE preparations already, will be able to answer me well. So in your GRE verbal section, what are the challenges that you go through? Excuse me. Yes, can someone tell me what are the challenges that you go through in your verbal section? Okay, high level vocabulary, says Amit. Right. Actually, there are several types of questions in your GRE verbal section, but the most difficult ones are the 3 blank text completion questions and long RC passages, says Arshit. These two are considered to be very difficult because of the vocabulary involved and the difficult vocabulary, new vocabulary involved. So if you have a long passage involving a lot of difficult words, then you will find it very difficult. Next parts, please. Mohan? Yeah. So in your GRE verbal section, you're expected to build a very high vocabulary so that you are capable of reading through the passage and you're capable of understanding the passage well, even though there are a lot of high challenging words in it. Next comes the reading comprehension section and 3 blank text completion. So in 3 blank text completion, you are expected to get 3 blanks in a question completely right. Only then you are awarded marks for the question. So even if one blank goes wrong, the entire question goes wrong. So this is one of the biggest headaches for most of the GRE takers. Okay, so to all these things, in order to overcome all these things, first thing, you have to have ample practice. Second thing is you should have a very good vocabulary, and help you improve your vocabulary. We will share the mobile application that we have built. Okay, we'll share it at the end of this session so that you can start using them and start improving your vocabulary. Some of you might be already using the app, but this app helps you to learn words and also remember them. Okay, so by this you can improve your vocabulary and they will help you to overcome the challenges like text completion and reading comprehension. And next comes the GRE quant section. Previous slide, please. Yeah, so in this section, the permutation and combination type questions and probability questions are very, very, very difficult. Like, how many of you agree with this? How many of you really find P and C type questions and probability to be very challenging? Megha says me, Vedashri says yes. AG, I've seen your question. We'll definitely take it up at the end of this session. Bhushan, Josh, Monica, I've seen your questions as well. Right? There could be much more sections which are challenging, but these are very challenging topics in GRE Quant that most students actually find it very difficult. So at Galvanize Test Prep, what we do is we have separate lessons on these, and if you want, we also give you additional material to learn, and we have separate modules on these questions which will help you to focus on your weaker areas so that you can balance these topics and still score well in your GRE. And upcoming during this Saturday, we have a webinar with one of our students who has scored 170 out of 170 in GRE Quant. Okay, it is at 6 o'clock on Saturday. If you find time, you can go to our website and register for the webinar. Okay, so how many of you want a 170 out of 170 in your GRE Quant? So the beauty of scoring 170 in your GRE Quant is that it will help you to maximize your overall GRE score. I understand that the GRE verbal score is verbal section is very difficult to score, but still if you want to reach a 320 plus score in your GRE, then you have to have your GRE quant score to be very maximum, so that is 170, so that you can easily achieve a 320 score despite your GRE verbal score being lesser. Okay, and then comes your AWA. The biggest challenge is people do not try to write a lot because we hardly write. After college, we hardly practice writing. So you wouldn't find experts who will be available to evaluate your essay. But when I test prep, that problem gets solved. We have experts who sit through and guide you in writing your essay. Next comes the hidden challenges in the GRE. Just as if the previous explicit challenges are not enough in the GRE, here are hidden challenges that are faced by every GRE taker. Number one being time management. Okay, so the entire GRE is for 4.5 hours or 4.5 hours. So it is highly difficult to sit through the exam. You should have enough energy to sit through the exam. Next points, please. Choosing the right questions to answer. So unless you've taken good practice, you wouldn't know which ones to choose and which ones to because the GRE exam gives you the comfort of moving back and forth within this section. The 30 minutes is actually an appropriate time, and within the 30 minutes of a section you can move back and forth within the section. You can skip a question, you can come back to that question, you can mark a question, and you can later review that question. It gives you all this flexibility, but you should be capable of knowing which questions to skip and which questions to answer. This will come only by practice, only when you know your weaker sections very well. If you know that you are very weak at permutation and combination, once you once you get one permutation type question, you can immediately skip it for that moment and then answer the rest of the questions. And if you have time, you can get back to that question and answer the question. Okay, so you should know your level of preparation very well in order to use this very well. And another hidden challenge is the online mode of the exam. The challenge in this is the online mode is actually very helpful for your preparation mode, but when it comes to a test, it is easily distracting. So unlike a paper-based exam, in an online exam, you tend to quickly answer the question and submit the section quickly and move on. So because of that, a lot of students score low in the GRE initially, and then they have to retake it. And sitting through a computer-based test, as I told you, is very distractive and very challenging and energy consuming. So try to practice online so that you get used to all these hidden challenges. And then maintaining consistency of your prep. So initially, we've seen a lot of students who are very energetic when they join the test prep, when they start a preparation, and at the end, because it is a long preparation, you have to prepare for 3 months or so, you easily tend to lose perseverance. Okay, so there should be someone at your back who keeps motivating you. At Galvanize Test Prep, we have course managers who do that. Based on your plan, they keep motivating you to prepare. They keep reminding you of your next targets, so you will be on track and you will be able to score well in your GRE. And the next thing is you're losing the plot in analytical writing. Analytical writing, you have to first understand the plot, but as you start writing, you tend to, unless you have enough practice, you tend to forget what is your plot at all. You will tend to forget why you started to write that essay, because it is a 30-minute long essay writing section. So you tend to forget how you start to write the essay. So it needs immense practice to keep you on track in writing the section. So these are the hidden challenges. So in order to you have to balance these both so that you work well, and you have to prepare well so that these hidden challenges or explicit challenges do not hamper your actual GRE score, because as I told you, you can't take a chance. Okay. All right, guys, we are approaching the end of this session. I think this was a very brilliant session with all of you. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel for getting the videos in future. And I would wish you, on behalf of Galvanize Test Prep, I wish you all the best for your GRE prep and your admissions process. And I wish that all of you reach your dream university successfully, and you also reach your target score and your admissions successfully. All the best once again, guys. So thank you for answering the poll. We'll be seeing you in another webinar shortly.